Hi everybody, Steve Scott here again with another question and answer video. And this one's about Sambo, and that's near and dear to my heart. I love that sport. So let's get right into it. So the question is this, why hasn't there ever been any chokes or strangles permitted in Sambo competition? And that's a really good question, one I've asked before and other people have asked before. So let's get right at it. So let's look at Sambo first of all. There are two kinds of Sambo. There's combat Sambo, and that allows chokes and strangles, punches, kicks, throws, arm locks, you name it, pretty much. And then there's Borba Sambo, or more of the grappling style Sambo. Now, over here, the grappling style Sambo is the older of the two, although combat Sambo really is a development of what the Sambo that the Soviet Army learned and the police. So it's very old too, because Sambo means self-defense without weapons. And so there always have been chokes, yes, but not competitively, at least in Borba Sambo. Later on, I think in the early 2000s, but 2004, I can't remember exactly when, but when combat Sambo became an international sport, chokes and strangles were permitted. Again, not in Borba Sambo. And the primary reason, from what I understand and from what other people understand, and those other people are Steve Kepfer and Greg Humphreys, who I reached out and I wanted to pick their minds on this as well, and this is what they told me as well, that in the early days of Sambo's development in the 1930s, chokes and strangles were allowed in Sambo, what later became known as Sambo. Remember, in those days up to, I think, 1946, I may be off a year or two, but after the Great War, after the World War II, when Sambo became a recognized sport in the Soviet Union, it was called Sambo, self-defense without weapons, and that was the acronym Sambo. Now, prior to that, it was known by different names, and it wasn't always called Sambo, if it was called Sambo much. So in those days, chokes were allowed in their competitions. But after 1946, after it became a national sport, it didn't. And why? Because of Joseph Stalin, the Soviet dictator, the communist dictator. He was very much anything that wasn't Soviet, he didn't want to have. And so if it looked too much like judo, basically, Sambo did, with the chokes and strangles. So to make it different, and as much different as he possibly could, he said, I guess for dictate, and then they followed it. The Sambo Federation at that time, they said, okay, no strangles or chokes. Arm locks, leg locks. Now, leg locks were not permitted in competition judo. I think they'd been banned in competition judo since the turn of the century, around 1899, 1900, somewhere around there, maybe the early 1900s. So basically, the Soviets, who were controlling Sambo at the time in the late 40s, mid to late 40s, they wanted to make it look as different as possible from judo, to make it a separation. So they included the throws and takedowns and transitions, and you get points for that. And then, of course, the leg locks and the arm locks, okay? And another thing about making it different, the outfit. The outfit, is the Sambo kurtka, the jacket with the epaulets, and it's a tighter fit, has the belt loops that stay in there, and the shorts and the wrestling shoes. They were designed to make it look as much apart from judo as they could. So beyond the fact that chokes and strangles weren't allowed, Sambo, in the Soviets, when the Soviet regime was running it, they wanted to have its own look. So that's the best we can figure out. Now, I've also heard something I'd heard along the line from different people, that the chokes and strangles, especially the lapel type strangles, weren't allowed because the heavy clothing that were worn in the Soviet Union at the time, the heavy winter clothing. I've heard that. I don't put a lot of validity to it. I think mainly because Joseph Stalin did not want this Sambo, this hybrid sport, developed from judo, even though it has its roots in judo certainly, but also in all the republics of the Soviet Union. Pardon me about coughing. In all the republics of the Soviet Union, they amalgamated a lot of these wrestling styles, and it came into Sambo, especially the Georgian style of grappling and other belt grappling of other regions. So they really tried to make it apart from judo as much as possible. That's the best answer I can give you. That's from people I know who are very good on their history of Sambo. If someone else knows more about that, I would certainly appreciate somebody letting me know, putting it in the comment column down below, because we want to get the right story out there. But from my understanding, basically, the people who ran Sambo at the time in the 1940s in the Soviet Union did not want it to look like judo much, and that's the big reason no chokes or strangles. So there we have it. Thanks for asking that question.